Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for the Step 2 Young People's Health Charity in Bradford, and this video is all about families. There are various types of families. I've selected some of the main ones here. A nuclear family is two parents with children. A single parent, where you have one parent with one child or more. Blended or step families, two separated families that have come together. Extended families tend to be people like your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. Families might be childless because the couple cannot or do not want to have children. And there are grandparent families where the children are raised by their grandparents. It's important to remember that all families are different. And we should try not to compare our families to anybody else's, mainly because we don't see everything that goes on in that family, but also because our family might have a different way of doing things. We do tend to see that in things like planning for holidays, festivities, that kind of thing. Different people do it in different ways. Some people celebrate things that other people don't celebrate, and that's absolutely fine. As long as your family is happy in doing what they're doing, then there can be no criticism from anybody else. It is normal to argue sometimes. If the arguments are happening more often than the calm conversations, then there might be something that needs to be looked at there. But it is normal to get really annoyed with your brother or sister because they've been in your room, or they've taken something of yours, or they've broken something of yours. It's also perfectly normal to get a little bit angry with your parents at times, especially when you're going through puberty. That happens. It's healthy to argue a little bit. In order to stop big family rows, everybody needs to do their bit. So if it's always about one person in the house is always the one taking the bins out, doing the washing up, and nobody else ever does anything, that's going to cause some arguments. So we all need to chip in and do our bit for the family. Happiness and communication are key. So if you're not happy with something, talk to your family about it. There are different types of relationships that parents and families can be in. Parents might be married, which is the formal union. It's a legal contract that might have taken place in a religious setting or in a non-religious setting. It unites those two people together. There's also something called a civil partnership. So again, that's a legally recognised union. The rights are similar to those of marriage, and it was originally created for same-sex couples. However, it's now available to everybody. Or you might find that your parents are not married, but they are common law spouses. That means they've lived together as a couple without being married. They might have lived together as a couple for a very, very long time. But unfortunately, that does not give them the same legal rights that married people and people in civil partnerships have. It might be a family with same-sex parents. Two men might choose to adopt or have a surrogate carry their baby for them. Two women might choose to use a sperm donor and one of them carry the baby. A mother automatically has something called parental responsibility. Dads can get PR by registering the birth with the mother, so going with them to the registry office to say we've had this baby, we need a birth certificate, or dads can apply for it. If you are in a civil partnership or a marriage, you automatically have parental responsibility as same-sex parents. However, this gets a little bit more difficult in the case of two men. Because two men, one of them did not carry the baby. They are not the mother, so they don't automatically have parental responsibility. So if a surrogate woman has carried their baby for them, it can go to court and the parental responsibility can be taken away from her and given to the two dads. And that's usually quite a simple agreement. It's usually put in place or started to be put in place at the beginning of the pregnancy. All mums are named on birth certificates. All dads are not. Okay, but it changes slightly with this view of a woman carrying a baby for two men. But it can be done. It is done the world over. There are lots of same-sex parents, families in the UK. There are two women who have children there are two men that have children. It's absolutely fine. It's all legal and above board as long as these steps are followed. Unfortunately, some families do really struggle. If children are in danger, they might be removed from their parents. However, this is an absolute last resort. Lots and lots of help is offered first. There are so many agencies that can assist with families that are struggling. Removal is never the first option because of the impact it can have on children and families. If a child is removed, they would likely be placed in a foster care placement first. These are usually short-term placements because children may be allowed to return to their families later if specified changes have been made. Only the courts can decide that children should be removed. So sometimes social workers get a really bad rap for this, and people accuse social workers of removing children. It's not them that's doing it, it's the court that's made the decision, but the social worker is the one who's on the front line and doing the work, and it looks like it's them that's done it. That's not the case. All efforts will be made by social care and lots of other agencies to stop children being removed, because the best place for them is usually with their families. Where children have been removed from their families, they may be placed in short or long-term foster care, and some people choose to foster children. This could be people who are on their own, they don't have a partner and therefore haven't had children yet. It could be people who have decided that this is a lifestyle choice for them and that they just don't want their own children. Where children are about to leave the home life, foster parents step in, they look after them temporarily. Arrangements can be short-term or long-term. There are stories in the media frequently about foster parents going on to adopt the children, but also about carers who've looked after many, many children in their lifetime. Adoptions are one step on from fostering. Children can be put up for adoption for many reasons. Normally, both parents would have to agree or give consent to the adoption, unless they can't be found, they're incapable of giving consent, for example due to a mental disability, or if the child would be put at risk if they were not adopted. So that's what I was talking about previously. If a child has been removed from the home, if they would be at significant risk staying where they are, then the child could be put up for adoption. Lots of people do choose to adopt and give a new life to a child. Adoptions make those people the new legal parents of that child. So it's not a case that the child could go back to their original family. That is no longer their family legally. The new people, the people that have adopted them, they are the legal parents of that child. Almost anybody can adopt now. You can be single, you can be in a couple, it can be a same-sex relationship, a same-sex family who want to adopt the children. You apply to your local council and lots of assessments are done, and once they are satisfied that you are safe and competent to adopt a child, matches will start to be found for you. On this slide you've got some information about support services. So Step 2 is the organisation that I work for. We are a sexual health and mental health charity based in Bradford. We work in collaboration with James and Hale to deliver relationships and sex education across Bradford. You also have some charities that specifically work with children. So you have the NSPCC, you have Childline, and you have Barnardo's, all of which have information about families, about adoption, about fostering on their website. And you've got the Bradford Partnership, which works together to safeguard children within the district. If you need further support, you can contact any of those charities and they will assist you where they can or signpost you in the right direction.